Hola and bienvenue is super respectable. That's two languages there. There you go.
Bonjour.
Buongiorno. My name is Toshio Rahman, and with me is David Lewis. Hey, Dave. How are you this beautiful here, mid-May day? How's the day in the Netherlands?
The day is okay. It's unseasonably chilly and cold. Oh my goodness, they're doing drag racing down our street.
Of course.
There's never a dull moment on my street, just so everyone knows. I live in a very busy
Mhm.
main shopping street, and there's always some stuff. So I'm going to close the curtains so I can focus on the podcast.
There you go.
But yeah, it's been very chilly, very cold, and just not helping with the overall situation. So I'm very much hoping that some sunshine and warmth comes soon. So at least that helps the mental health.
Yeah. What time is sunset now in the Netherlands? Is it pretty late?
That's one good thing. It's quite late in the Netherlands. It's getting close to the longest day of the year, which is June something something.
Yeah,
But it can be like 10 o'clock, 10:30, and you're still seeing like the sun.
raised. And
Yeah.
how do you feel about that? Are you like, do you like that, or is it weird? Or
Yeah, it kind of makes me forget about like proper eating times, hence
yeah,
our delayed start time today. So
yeah,
it's like perfectly sunny, and I'm like, oh well, got all the time in the world. And I look at the clock and I go, oh no, it's not that at all. It's
yeah.
terrible.
For me, it's weird because here it's like around 9, but like you can still see like I think the perfect time for sunset is around in the 7 o'clock, 7 to 8 o'clock time. Personally, for me,
Mm,
because sometimes when it goes late, it just messes up everything for you, right? You want to eat later. You don't like time. You feel like you still have enough time, but it's only a couple more hours until midnight. But here in Vancouver, we've definitely started getting longer and longer days. So summer's not my favorite season. I like fall and spring, more fall, but it's nice though. Like, I mean, I'm not complaining. It's not like something we can change or anything.
I think Vancouver is a very nice place to be in Canada because it has a very nice range of temperatures, whereas Ottawa, where I'm from, is extremes. It can be 35 degrees in the summer, super hot and humid, and then minus 20 something in the
Yeah,
winter.
yeah,
Whereas Vancouver is generally more like, I guess, the Netherlands.
yeah.
I don't know.
Uh-huh. I think
I
so.
haven't spent a huge amount of time in Vancouver. Like in the winter, what's it like?
Just rainy and cold, but no snow. So
Lovely.
yeah, like London. So if you lived in London, you lived in Vancouver. So I think you're good. Something interesting I found out about the Netherlands. I think we spoke about this before, but I was watching this clip the other day. Apparently, the Netherlands is like the hub for super yacht manufacturing, right? Like a
Yeah,
lot of like luxury yachts are built in Amsterdam or
yeah.
outside of Amsterdam.
Yeah, I saw a few getting constructed on my way to work a few years ago. It's
Ooh,
very interesting. The kind of challenge I thought was how did they get this thing out of there? They build it in this canal, like inland lake, and
yeah,
it's kind of like yeah, that's the challenge. But I'm pretty sure they were building some one of these Russian oligarch yachts. It was really quite something.
yeah. I came across it because this video came up where they're talking about Jeff Bezos' newest $500 million yacht. It was building in the Netherlands, and it's his second because of course you need to, and it was built in Amsterdam, and yeah, I mean that's amazing. I think it's fantastic, and apparently these companies, because they're so like they only build one or two a year per company because of course it takes so much time and it costs so much money, but I guess they're done like very precisely and very like with a lot of attention and detail if you're spending that much money.
Yeah, and I can imagine if you're a super rich dude like that, you don't want a boat that's gonna tip over or have any surprises or has like special sonars and all sorts of things. So
Yeah.
I'm sure they get loads of security and extra things that average folk don't get in their boat
Yeah.
constructions.
Yeah. I mean, I think we talked about yachts one time, but yeah, it's definitely very fascinating life. And some billionaires live in the sky, some live on boats. I guess some live
Well, they all
underground.
seem to be. I'm looking at your background, and for again our audio listeners, Tosh has a rocket taking off into space.
Yeah.
All these billionaires are into that. That's like the cool thing to do if you're a super billionaire. They all want to
Go
go into
up.
space.
Yeah.
Branson, Bezos, Musk, they're all doing it.
Yeah.
Who else is there? They're all
Yeah.
trying that.
So it's so funny you mentioned that because today's topic is somewhat related. That's why I changed the background.
Ah,
But I read a book a couple of years ago about
very
Elon.
nice.
Thank you. It's the only one I've read, so I'm
You
pretty
read a
proud of it.
book?
I wrote a I read a bio about Elon Musk when kind of he was in the news a lot. I mean, he still is, and I was really just fascinated at him. I know he's a very controversial figure. Not everyone thinks he's legit, but he has an interesting history. And I don't know if people know that, but know this or not. But he's got a number of companies. Some are more popular and some are more prevalent than others. But he's got like 6 or 7 things going on at the same time. So I thought we'd look at some of his companies and just discuss and see if they really are changing the world, or if they're of any interest, or they're just kind of like there for grabbing attention. And I thought you'd be interested in it because you come from an environmental social justice background, so a lot of his companies are aiming towards that objective. But yeah, I wanted to see if Elon Musk really is our generation's Thomas Edison, or if he's just a madman, or if insanity and genius are just a thin line between one another,
Indeed.
and see.
Did you watch the Saturday Night Live appearance?
I mean, I saw his monologue and then that's it. I don't care. But I mean, did you watch it? Did he do a good job?
I saw a few clips, but I just felt a bit cringy and awkward, so I had to
Uh,
stop. It was a bit
well,
challenging to watch.
I mean, when I read his bio, I had a lot of respect about the fact of where he came from and how he grew and how he developed and built himself and his company. But there is something about him when you watch clips that makes you feel a little uncomfortable. I don't know if that's because of who he is or he's not a sociable person, but definitely in terms of product and results, he's a genius. I would say a lot of interesting things have come up, but we can get into that as I list each company and we can do it.
Okay.
But very brief background. I'm sure you know this. He is actually a South African born, but half Canadian. I don't know if you knew this. His mom is from Canada, and he left South Africa. He went to Queens, our university in Kingston, but he transferred to the University of Pennsylvania.
Okay.
Yeah, so he left Canada for the States. Him and his brother started a company called Zip2.com in 1995. It was like an online city guide. That's sort of like our modern day TripAdvisor, I guess, or things to
Okay.
do. The New York Times used it. The Chicago Tribune used it. This is when the internet was like up and coming. So he really jumped on that bandwagon. He sold the company to Compaq. Do you remember Compaq?
Yeah.
I don't know if they still exist or not, but I think they merged with HP or something. But he sold it for a good 341 mil. So in 99, he started X.com, which was like a payment processing center. And
Mhm.
X.com, interestingly enough, merged with Continuity in 2000, and they formed what is today known as PayPal. So they call it the PayPal Mafia. Some of those guys who started that company, they are all billionaires. The LinkedIn guy, the Facebook investor guy, Peter Thiel. So and in 2002, they sold the entire company for $1.5 billion. I'm sorry, I don't know if it's the entire company or his share, but it was definitely it was bought out. I think it was his share because Peter
Probably
Thiel,
his share.
yeah. So 1.5. So that was sort of he became a billionaire at a pretty young age in his 20s, and he was a very like computer backgrounded guy, very technological background guy. So he took that money and then he started his ventures into various fields. So I don't know if you know or not, but very cool. Like I thought that was very respectable for the startup world.
Is super respectable. I heard that when he had that windfall from PayPal because it sold to eBay, right? Or eBay acquired it.
Mhm.
Um, he, sorry if you cut me off if I'm just stealing your thunder, but I thought he decided like, okay, I've got this huge chunk of money. I can sit on a beach or I can just keep going. And he decided to like divide the money into those,
Oh, really? Into the different.
just throw everything into the next ventures.
Yeah, I read something. I read along. He's all in his ventures pretty much, and I think he risks it all or whatnot. And there was a period of time that some of his companies were going bankrupt, and he almost had nothing. And now he's like the third richest person in the world, just to show his dedication. But yeah, I mean, I think his biggest company that we know, or the most common one, is Tesla, right? I think that's the
Mm-hmm.
pretty much the global brand. And he's trying to create vehicles that are electric, that are affordable, that are good for the environment, and that are stylish and modern as well. Here in Vancouver, I think every other car is a Tesla. It seems like on
Same
the road.
here.
Have you ever driven one or been inside one?
Yeah, it's cool.
Is it okay? I've
But
never.
it's very distracting. Like there's this huge console
Yeah,
in the middle that
like an
is
iPad.
basically a huge iPad, which is massively distracting for drivers,
Yeah.
I'd imagine. But yeah.
Yeah. I mean, for literally a second we thought about getting one, but then we didn't. We're not there yet. We went with a Honda, but Tesla is the most valuable car company, beating some of these other traditional ones that have been around for years and years and years, which is impressive since Tesla's somewhat new. I think the vehicles are beautifully designed. I think aesthetically looking like simple, classic, very
Hmm.
great. That console thing kind of bugs me a little bit too. Sometimes when I drive by a Tesla, I'm sort of staring at it, even though I'm in my car. But it's I've heard that like it can like it's a computer sensor, right? Like it not only can it just tells you about your car, it tells you about what's in your surroundings as well. When it's time to like charge, when if it needs to fix itself, it can kind of like upload with the main server and kind of like fix certain aspects of it. Yeah, it's fascinating, right? Like I think for a car company, it's very revolutionary.
Do you know where they make all their money?
How batteries?
They make money from carbon credits and emissions credits from
Oh
other
no.
car companies.
So explain
So
explain explain that.
so basically, there's regulatory credits, and I think it's to do with California. I
Yeah,
don't think it's a U.S. wide thing,
yeah.
but I stand to be corrected on that. Um, and there's other car companies, they're not doing electric vehicles, or they're doing it on a smaller scale than Tesla, which is a pure play
Electric.
like electric
Yeah.
car company. And for them to continue producing like gasoline, diesel cars, they need to pay an emissions credit or to cover that
Okay.
for the emissions that these cars will produce.
Right.
And they go to Tesla is the source for that. So because Tesla gets all these credits for their good work,
Yeah.
the car companies like Ford and GM or whatever buy them off of Tesla. They pay
Ah.
Tesla for them because Tesla's in abundance of it. They get credits for good job for
Are
producing
are they getting
these.
credits from the government?
I believe they're getting credits from the government for doing this, and then the like old school car companies buy them off of Tesla in order for them to be like in balance for their emissions
Understand.
targets.
And
And it's huge, and
is
it's
it?
like
Okay.
huge. If you look at their like um, their state financial statements, they
Yeah.
make their money and not from selling cars, from that.
So is that a sustainable model?
No, that's why
No.
like
Yeah.
loads of um, loads of short sellers were like ganging up on Tesla because, like you said, it is the most valuable car company, like more than all the other car companies combined,
Yeah.
like hugely valuable. And they're
Yeah.
like, this is not right. It doesn't make sense.
So the actual vehicle, whichever model you choose, it's not profitable for the company at this point.
I think they're just investing so much like back into the company. They're still like
Developing
um,
R&D.
Amazon in its early days was just pouring more money back into their own company for their development. So yeah,
Oh,
it's probably not making money,
yeah.
but what's allowing them to stay afloat is those carbon credits
Because I remember a couple of years back, there was almost a brink of
and Bitcoin.
yeah, there was almost a brink of bankruptcy, right, for Tesla. I heard where his valuation was just
Yeah,
like they almost lost it, but then he kept putting in his own money and just time, and then eventually it bounced up. But like I hear about people waiting in line or having their name on a list for like months and months to get Teslas, and they can only produce X number per year, right?
I think
It's getting
he
better.
definitely has a good thing going. I mean, when I
Yeah,
see one going by, I think, wow, that's cool. I'm jealous.
yeah,
I think the people who are driving it are, fantastic people, and it's very aspirational.
yeah.
So they got all that stuff going for it. The brand is very cool, right?
Cool. So we'll go. I have 8 of his companies listed. We'll go yay or nay
Great.
if we support. Are we
Okay.
yay or nay on Tesla?
Yeah, sure. Why not?
Okay, yay. Good. There we
Yay.
go. Okay. Second company related to Tesla is Solarcity. So Solarcity is a solar panel manufacturing corporation where they want to make solar panels available to the masses for cheap and try to get more people that use solar energy. I believe there's a connection between the two because the batteries in Tesla have a relation to the Solarcity battery, so there's some same IP back there. But
Okay.
but that seems interesting as well. I know you've been interested in solar energy for a while, right? And I remember you talking to us about it back when like we were like, what is that? But I think that's pretty notable, like noble as a cause. I think one cool thing I see recently is I see more and more houses in my neighborhood with solar panels on them, which I think is great for it. And if I can learn more about it and get more involved, and it could be affordable and just like an easier connection between application and in theory, I'm definitely for it. How's the situation like in your experience with solar panels globally in the last few years? Have you seen an increase, especially in Europe?
Yeah, it's definitely a big thing in Germany, our
Oh,
next door neighbor here, because they have huge renewable energy policy investments from a national level.
nice.
Um, and it's so much so that, sometimes people are like feeding energy back into the grid rather than it's like
Oh,
just
cool.
like
There's too much of it.
offsetting.
Yeah,
It's just so much of it that they get paid to produce,
that's amazing.
which is quite an amazing thing. And you think Germany isn't exactly like loads of sunshine. It's not like Morocco or something.
Yeah.
So if that's applied to places like Saudi Arabia and Morocco, then you could probably power loads of people's properties.
Is solar energy like the leading renewable energy source that people are kind of, because there's infinite amounts of it, or is it like one of many? Like, is that the ones people are most betting on?
Um, I don't know if I can answer that correctly, but it's definitely up there, and the prices have gone down. A big challenge, like with any new technology, new flat screen TVs that were a thing. They cost
Yeah,
so much money,
yeah,
and now they're super cheap. So, like solar panels used to be super expensive, but now when China got on board,
yeah,
they just destroyed the market in the US and the rest of the Western world because they just pumped them out. And so the price of solar panels has gone super low. So
yeah.
that's a good thing, right? It's made it more accessible for everybody to install them. So it's definitely something that's more widespread. And like you said, it's definitely renewable. It's the sun. So we're
Yeah.
okay there.
I, I think one thing that I've seen an improvement on is that the aesthetic look of solar panels over the last couple of
Mm.
years. I remember when they first come out, they're really clunky and very, very like ugly to just to look at. And I think more and more, it's been kind of like a more of a beautiful design, and still with the same application and the same practice. But I think it just looks nice, right? Like a Tesla car, for
Yeah,
example.
it's like exactly like,
Yeah,
like Tesla, because part of it was before the Teslas came out, the electric cars looked a bit geeky and something was a bit like off about it. So you got made fun of with your friends, haha, look at your silly car.
yeah,
And Musk was just like, that's not right. Let's fix
yeah,
that and make
yeah.
it look cool.
Very cool. I think that's it. I mean, there's nothing wrong with making something that has a good application look nice as well. I think as human beings, we like things that are beautiful and like stylish,
That's
and
why Apple products, people buy it because it
it
looks
does it.
nice and sleek. And
I have a quick little funny story about solar panels. I one time went to Mauritania, which is a country in Western Africa, and I thought, listen, like I'm gonna have some of these like phones and like satellite, like I had all these little technologies, and I don't know where I'm gonna be, like I'm not gonna have access to electricity, so I bought this little solar panel charger thing off Amazon. And I brought it with me. And pretty much it was like a three flap thing where you open it, you put it in the sun, and then it connects via USB to whatever. And it charged. It was really cool, and then someone stole it, and so
oh
then I
no.
lost it. But I really had faith, like I really like, that's where like a turning point where I really had faith in solar energy. But I like wind power energy too, and that's not only, I think it's like there's a simplicity to it that I like, but I just like the way it looks too, I
Yeah, that's
know.
cool.
Yeah.
That's big here.
Is it okay? You have
Yeah,
wind farms or
it's
whatever they're
very
called?
windy and it's very flat country and it's lots of oops. Um, yes, if you fly into the Netherlands, which is something I haven't done for some time,
Yeah,
they've planted loads of wind turbines in the North Sea. So,
yeah,
like a big argument against it, you get these people who say, "No, I don't want that built around my house, and it looks ugly."
yeah.
They just stick it out in the water, and it goes into the grid, so no one can complain except for the fish.
The fish. That's cool. So are we EA or nay or in Solar City?
A strong yay.
Me too. I agree. Okay, so now we get into something called the Hyperloop. I think some people may have heard about this, but pretty much what it is an underground tunnel which uses low pressure tubes with magnets to transport vehicles at very high speeds. So it can go up to 600 miles per hour. And it can take you from like San Francisco to Los Angeles in like 24 minutes, or from like New York to New Jersey in like 3 minutes. It's just a concept at this point, and they haven't really started. I think there's a couple demos in certain parts, but I don't know if you heard about it or not. But
did you see it? The demo in Las Vegas?
Yeah, I saw it. I think there's a YouTube clip or whatnot, and so it seems very sci-fi-ish and very cool. But I don't know what the real application of something like that would be. But I don't know what your thoughts are on it. But it's strange.
When I first heard about it, I thought, okay, that's kind of crazy, because I remember he's big on Twitter, right? He's always tweeting like, I'm going to do this and that.
Yeah.
And he said, I'm tired of traffic. I'm going to start digging holes in the ground, and we'll go faster that way. But I think, I mean, having lived in Europe and in the UK for so long, and then going back to North America, I find the contrast so shocking in terms of infrastructure, like with transit. And I've always been a bit of a train geek and stuff like that. I love that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And I just wonder, like, America is a very advanced, rich country, and its infrastructure is crumbling, right?
Yeah.
They shouldn't be digging holes in the ground and just firing their cars off into different directions. They could just build like, Japanese style bullet trains around the country. That'd be a lot better, right?
Totally. And
but it goes against like the whole American ideal of individualism and capitalism, and it's a very like statist way of doing things.
I read that 1 mile of Hyperloop tunnel could cost anywhere between $100 million to $1 billion. So it's definitely very costly. So I mean, like, let's say LA to San Francisco, we're talking a couple hundred miles. So that could be a couple $100 billion. So I think it sounds cool, but just for the movies. So I give it a nay personally. I don't.
I'm a nay, and also like, yeah, what's to stop there from being traffic in these tunnels if it's successful? I mean,
yeah. So actually, there's a difference between. So the next company is the Boring Company, and it does similar to Hyperloop, but it's different. So Hyperloop is where you go into the tunnel.
I'm mixing them up.
Yeah. Okay. So, Hyperloop is when you go into a platform, and the platform like takes you at 600 miles an hour. The Boring Company, they're just making holes and pretty much underground roads. So it'd be different. So they have tunnels around the world just because there's too much up there. And so
I'm still a nay for Hyperloop.
Okay, Hyperloop's nay. But I love the name The Boring Company because I think that's genius.
Fantastic.
And that's a yay for me. The name, at least.
Good name.
But Hyperloop and the Boring Company are related, but one is just normal cars and one's like a platform. But I'm actually a nay for the Boring Company too, is just because I think like the idea of just building holes underground just for more traffic, like it'll just build up wherever you end up going, right? But interestingly enough, the next company is SpaceX, but the Boring Company is integrated with SpaceX as well, because as you'll know, Elon Musk wants to build like a community civilization on Mars, but the Boring Company could help build the roads on Mars. But coming back to it, I think wherever human beings have like traffic, I think just ends up everywhere you go. So you could have traffic on like the underground, you could have traffic on top, and then you'll have to make money. You'll have to try to pay for it. So one of the things I hate in life is when they built a new bridge or a new tunnel and they charge you to use it. I'm like, screw that, man. Like, I'll just take the longer way, because they have to make their money up. And this happened in Istanbul a lot. There's an underground tunnel that connects Asia and Europe. And every time you took it, you had to pay like, I don't know, 25 lira or whatever, which builds up, a lot.
But I'd happily pay that versus taking that bridge, because I was stuck in that traffic for like 2-3 hours. It was a nightmare. And so I'll pay that premium. Also, when I was on that bridge, my friend said, Istanbul is due for an earthquake any day now.
Yeah. So I don't know, but like the whole Hyperloop and the Boring, I'm not really interested. So I'm a nay on both, whether it's platform or roads. But I think underground tunnels are not really my thing.
Yeah, I mean, people in London complain about the underground, but it's been around for since the late 19th century, mid 19th century. And it does the job. It gets people around like a 10-15 million person city. And you get rich people, middle class, poor, all taking it because it works better than driving. So I'm cool with that. It's an old technology that stands the test of time. So I would be in favor of these hyperloops and little holes, as long as they were done for the common purpose of commuting large groups of people together, not like prohibitively expensive charging, you know, 5,000 euros for a VIP pass.
Yeah. That's like
Sort
it
of thing.
becomes elitism. Do you think there's room for improvement for the undergrounds, like the tunnels in London and stuff, like modernization
Oh
and
yeah, for sure. I
yeah,
mean, people, like I said, people complain about transit wherever you are, and it's
yeah,
obviously no different in London. But like, there are some newer lines in London, and I think they work great. Like this Jubilee line,
yeah.
it's pretty fast, and they have like this protection over the platform so that people don't jump onto the platform onto the tracks and die or fall over. So
Commit
that seems like a
suicide or
normal.
something. Yeah.
Yeah, because it's near Canary Wharf, so
Oh,
the bankers have pretty depressing situations. They might lose money or something. Um, yeah, I don't know. I think, like I said, it has its purpose, but the way that he seems to be doing it is very like individualistic
yeah,
and
yeah.
American style.
I mean, if he ever created one of the two, I'd definitely try it out if I had the opportunity just to see what it was like. But it's not something I as like yeah, I'm as enthusiastic as I am about like the Tesla and the Solarcity.
But like, what I don't get about this whole Hyperloop and Boring Company is it just seems like he's allowed to do this. He's like,
Yeah,
you know, in Ottawa, it's taken 50 years for them to make a light rail because of approvals
yeah.
and committee and community meetings. And Elon Musk is just blowing up holes in like around Los Angeles. So no one seems to be saying anything.
When you're a billionaire, you can do whatever you want.
You can do
Nobody
what
cares.
you want, right?
Okay, my next company. This one is, I think, very well known but controversial. Is SpaceX, his space
Okay.
venture company. It's an aerospace company. He wants to reduce costs for the public to go to space. He wants to travel among cities via space. Not a lot of people know that. He not only is it like going out there, but it's like, oh, let's go from Hong Kong to London through space. You know?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. He wants to set up a colony on Mars. He wants to take people to the moon. It's just about making space travel more accessible and affordable for everyone. Interestingly, very interesting. So it was based in Texas, I believe. I mean, there's a headquarters in there's a center in California, and then there's always like also like a launch pad or something in I think Texas as well. He's bought out like a pretty much an entire village in like the eastern coast of Texas or something like that. He tried to get like all these people, like he paid, like he said he'd pay people like three times their fee, the house value to get them like to leave.
Oh, he was clearing them out. I didn't know that.
Well, I don't think so. I think at first they like bought a little bit of land and then they leased land, and then they started building an infrastructure. I think this is the launch pad, by the way. And I forget if it's Texas or Florida, but I read that a lot of people were paid money and they said, oh, we'll give you money if you want to move away because you're still within like we want to kind of get all this land safe. And some people were like, yeah, no problem. And then other people were like, no, we will stay here. This is our home. And he offered them like three times the market value of their houses. And I remember reading that some people still didn't take it and stuff. But yeah, so he's really putting a lot of money into SpaceX. And I read at times he was dividing his work week between Tesla and SpaceX. He'd do like some crazy schedule, like Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday at Tesla, and then Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday at SpaceX. And there are two different places, so he'd have to like fly with his private jet back and forth, you know. So
With his rocket.
and so this one, right? This right. And so
That one.
then yeah, I don't know. I've always loved space, anything with space and space travel. So I think it's cool. Like I really do. I mean, like that's just my natural. I know a lot of people don't think it's cool, but
But like the idea of colonizing Mars, do you think
yeah,
that he's lost the plot a bit there, or is that something that only Elon Musk can achieve in his lifetime?
yeah. I don't know. I mean, Mars is far away, man. It's like it takes like what 8 months or something of travel or something like that. 2 years, something
Yeah,
between.
why don't they start with the moon and then go see how that works?
Yeah, I mean, right now they have this Japanese billionaire who will be his first. Like he's already registered and ready to go. He'll be his first customer. Like he'll go up to space and accept or Mars or something. So I don't know. I mean, I don't know if space is something of fascination for you, but I'm a yay for SpaceX because I think it's just cool. Like personally, it just makes the young kid inside of me.
Yeah, I'm a yay for SpaceX just because the people should be pushing the boundaries on that. I think it's great.
Yeah,
And I'm always wondering, like, we read about the space missions that NASA is doing in the 60s,
Cool.
I'm like, what's happened? What? No, they've just
Yeah.
chilled out since then. I guess, of
Well,
course, they had their accidents in the '80s
yeah, I think also
and
money and interest has declined significantly.
money,
Yeah.
but we should be more like the Jetsons at this point in time, right?
That's an old reference, Dave. I don't know if a lot of people understand
Oh,
that,
really?
but sure,
Oh,
I understand it. I got it.
okay.
But it's cool. I think it brings out like the interest as when we were young. Like that, space has always been of something of fascination, and there's stuff to learn. And like, I don't know if I could go to Mars. I definitely would definitely go if I had the opportunity.
But do you think like once we start
Yes. No, I
colonizing
don't know.
Mars, like the other aliens will get upset and see that we're trying
Uh,
to expand our power and like finally detonate our planet?
yeah. And then like the Death Star and the troops will come to Earth and like surround us.
Yeah,
And,
because they're probably just watching us from, making sure we don't do anything silly, and then
yeah.
they're like, okay, this Elon Musk guy needs to be neutralized, and then Star
Yeah.
Wars starts
Or
happening.
or maybe he takes off his mask and he is one of them, right?
Maybe he is one of them. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's just the very beginning of Star Wars, to be honest.
Let me ask you a question. Like, if you could live on, I mean, of course, I agree. This is really gonna for sure the beginning of Star Wars, and then the end of Star Wars is also positive, so it could work out. By the way, I was walking down the street on like a block yesterday, and I heard I heard like Star Wars music coming out of someone's house like very loudly. It was so weird. Would you go? Would you live on Mars if you had the opportunity, or no? Earth is earthbound.
I would go to Endor, where the Ewoks live, but I
Yeah,
don't think I would go to Mars. Yeah, I think that's not really the right place for me.
yeah, I get it. So SpaceX is still a yay or a nay?
Yeah, I'm a yay. I think that's the kind of thing that you should push some boundaries on, and
Cool.
and.
I think there could definitely be a lot of scientific benefits from this whole process as well that might not be space related, but could contribute to humanity as well. I think you could probably figure things out, and I'm totally for it. Okay, the next company we're almost done. We got three more. They're a little smaller. I didn't actually know about them, but the next one is called Starlink. I don't know if you know about this, not, but Starlink was
Oh yeah.
actually it's part of SpaceX, and it's pretty much a satellite internet company. He's trying to launch more satellites into space that can provide fast, reliable, cheap internet. So
Mm.
he's got 420 star links in space already, little satellites and stuff, and they're providing really good internet around the world. And he wants to launch more. It's just about getting internet to every person in the world for a reasonable price, and I think there's nothing wrong with that. But that's how
I'm
all
against that
movies
for
start.
sure.
But that's how all like movies like that start. I don't know if there's some like mischievous backstory there or whatnot, but the idea of internet for all, I think, is should be a basic human right, pretty much at this point, if we're using it for good. But internet prices have definitely significantly dropped, though. I think that's good, and it's become more accessible. But do you remember when internet first came out, and how difficult it was to connect?
The pages would like very slowly load. You get a few bits at a time.
And then you're like, get off
Netscape
the
and
phone! I'm
get off the
only.
phone. Yeah.
So it's amazing how far that's come in our lifetime, in our generation as well, right? So I mean, I
Because
don't know
we
what
grew up as kids without internet, or it was just starting off. And
yeah. And now
I
you can,
remember, do you remember ICQ? The
of
little chat?
course. Yeah.
Yeah.
What was the annoying sound? It was like,
Uh-oh.
uh-oh.
Yeah,
And the little flowers and stuff like that.
what
Uh,
happened to that? Yeah.
they went under. Yeah, I mean, there was a time where getting on the internet was not done by your phone, it was done by your computer. It took 30 minutes for what now takes 10 seconds. You couldn't, there was no messaging systems, there was no
There
Facebook,
couldn't
there was
be super respectable without this high-speed internet
podcasts.
here.
Oh my gosh, they're like, what the hell?
Yeah.
Radio on the internet? What are you talking about?
What are you doing?
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
just for better or for worse, because then
for,
the poor people have to listen to our voices every week.
and then and all these billionaires now billionaires took advantage of that, and they're like, you know what, we're going to put the radio on the internet, we're going to create a social platform where we can criticize other people and like or dislike their pictures.
This is a small point. I think, of course, it's a great thing that internet is being beamed around the world to people who don't necessarily have it.
Yeah.
But I think they've skipped a few steps. There's lots of people in the world who don't have like running water and energy and shelter and all that. So like all these Silicon Valley tech people
Yeah.
are all focused on like apps and social media and internet things like this.
Yeah.
But how come they can't do some cool stuff like that? Wouldn't it make sense to like economically empower these people
Billions.
so that
Yeah.
they could then, I'm thinking of their own self-interest, make people in sub-Saharan Africa and Southeast Asia super rich, so they can spend loads of money on these stupid apps that they
Sure.
produce.
I mean, that's very like noble of you and like well intended. I guess it's not as attractive and romantic as the ideal of like an app, and it's not as profitable, as quick,
I
at
can you
least.
imagine though, someone's just going
Right.
hungry somewhere
Sure.
and like, oh, at least I have internet.
Yeah, yeah. I agree with you. I think if someone can figure it out and then kind of merge the two, there can be profitability as well as doing good. But yeah, like I think it's great. And not only sub-Saharan Africa, like northern Canada, like Southern America, like everywhere in the world, there's a lot of places where internet is not a priority at all, right? So yeah,
Yeah.
agreed. But
Okay. So that's a yes.
generally speaking, I'm a yay. I think at least it's a good start for
Yeah.
Starlink. It sounds kind of weird. It sounds like it's part of like the Star Trek franchise, but whatever. That's
Wow.
it's cool. His next one is called OpenAI. I don't know if you know about it. It's a nonprofit. He believes that artificial intelligence is going to be the biggest industry in our generation, and so OpenAI is an organization that makes sure industries in this field are supervised and regulated, and there's no financial motive, he says, behind it. It's just to make sure that AI can be controlled pretty much and be supervised. And
Yeah. He obviously knows a lot more about it than I do, but he seems frightened by it. He
yeah,
seems like concerned about the possibilities that it has over
up,
our
uprising.
lives.
Should he not be? Do you think, or should he be, or is it justified?
Yeah, I guess there's, significant disruptions coming in terms of people's jobs being disrupted and displaced
Yeah,
by the computer. But that's always been the case, right? Like they've always there's been like discussions around technology replacing people's jobs for decades now. That it does get rid of some jobs, but it creates new ones. So
yeah.
and maybe us political science grads have to be a bit worried, but have to make sure that people study whatever it is you need to do AI development.
Yeah.
Uh,
I mean, I don't really give AI that much thought. I mean, just based on my experience of movies and everything, they always take over and it ends up being bad. But I definitely think like there's benefits of it, but we should be somewhat cautious as well. I mean, an organization that can regulate it or at least supervise and keep us up to date would it's not a bad thing, I think, right?
Maybe, but who watches the
Mm,
Watchmen? Is the
as a
expression
question.
of yeah? What do we
Yeah, yeah.
do?
Um, yeah, I'm a yay at this point for OpenAI. Until I get more information for it, but maybe it's like those movies where like the OpenAI ends up gathering all the information and then they end up being like the the AI that controls us all.
Yeah, I think that's quite possible. I'm not sure he has the purest of intentions, but who am I to judge, right?
There you go. The last company is actually related. It's called Neurolink, and he's looking at ways to see how you can merge human beings with AI technology, and not so humans can become AI. But that's what I thought when I first started. But in terms of like how, for example, when we can think of something and something can happen technologically, or we can do with medical research, how we can kind of merge the two so AI doesn't take over as humans. I think he's looking more in a way so we can control it. It's like in the movies when you see like artificial hands or like someone's got like a chip in their brain or something that can help like cure disease. So he's trying to merge that AI human gap between the two and see if there's technologies there. Uh, I'm a nay for this, just because if I think this is like a double-edged sword. I think if it's like very clear in terms of like medical assistance or like disease prevention or whatnot, sure. But I think like once people get too powerful and like see like they can get these like weird, they can do this weird stuff with the weird technology. I think things just go downhill from there. I think there should be a limit, but that's me.
Yeah, I think if it's like the Matrix where you end up learning kung fu after a little bit, then that's cool. I would do that. If it helps you like learn languages and all that stuff, then
Yeah.
sure. But of course, there's quite nasty, devious elements. And what if you get hacked? What if someone's like, we won't give you access to your limbs again until you repay us in Bitcoin, and they hold you to hostage, right?
Yeah, that could happen, I guess. No, So are you a yay? I forgot to ask you. So are you a yay nay on this one and on OpenAI? Are you yay or nay? What do you think?
Um, I'm a nay on OpenAI, but for a specific reason that Elon Musk is doing too much. He just has to like drop that one and focus on something else.
Okay.
Um, but I understand the concept, so that's okay.
Yeah.
And then this one, it's going to happen anyway, so sure, why not? But again, I'm thinking like a lot of people, how does this guy manage to do all of these things, let alone one of them?
Yeah.
So
It's yeah. It's
do you think he just started these companies and like he's associated with them in the sense that he's like, this needs to happen, I start it, and then like get some money and then hire the people to do it?
yeah.
Because there's no way he can do 8 companies.
Yeah, I think I agree with you. I think he, first of all, I think these are offshoots of like the main companies, which I think are Tesla
Tesla's
and
his main
SpaceX. Those
and
two.
SpaceX are
Yeah.
his main ones, right?
So I think and those are multi-billion-dollar companies, and like he doesn't take like leadership roles in them though. If you watch, he's not like he like for Tesla, he's like a developer or an engineer or something, and for SpaceX, I think he does more of like he hires other people to do management and public PR roles. So I think all these are just like departments and offices within one of those two companies. But I also think like maybe he's got a lot of ideas and he's really like kind of maybe like a hyper guy and he needs things done. And so he just creates companies, puts money in them, and then checks in from time to time. Generally speaking, I think he's a fascinating character, and I think he's helping kind of push human society and technology forward, which I think is always how things start and that we can develop. But I think we have to be, this is a new realm of possibilities for human beings. I think we have to be very cautious in how, and take it slow if we want to do it right. Like, for example, like for out of all of them, I think Tesla and Solarcity are probably the most interesting for me since he started and there's like an ultimate gain. But like you said, I didn't know about the credits, right? So, I mean, if the company is, has a good intention, which it seems it does, trying to reduce carbon footprint, trying to create more cheaper, reliable electric cars, you should put a lot of energy in trying to get off that the credit aspect of it to make it his company profitable, right? Because a profitable company will be able to produce more products at a reasonable rates and more people can access them. I'm all for electric cars. But you know, if you asked me 10 years ago, I would have been like, they're clunky and they sound gross and like, I don't like them. But like the Teslas are beautiful. Like if you look at a Tesla, it looks so nice. So like,
Yeah, I've got a charging point right outside my place. I can see some Teslas getting charged, and
no
it's
way. Yeah.
all the municipality installs them and
Yeah.
to encourage. So I think it's great. Yeah, why not? It's fine as long as I guess the main problem is as long as the power source is not derived from like a coal plant, you're just
Yeah.
making everything worse, right?
Totally.
Um,
I think for a long time we've been stuck in one way of doing things, and I like disruption because you know with disruption comes evolution in terms of these technologies as well. So I mean, I'm generally supportive of Elon Musk. I think I don't really care about his personal life or how much money he owns or whatever he does, etc. He names his kid numbers or anything. That's not my concern. But
he has a very colorful personal life, though. That's true. That's for sure.
it's true. I mean, yeah, it's true. And so, but I think people who think outside the box are always really cool. And so I go for it. I mean, I don't agree with everything you do, but it's your life. and
Do you think that someone like that could only succeed in America?
oh,
Because you don't really see people like America has this special formula of all the people that we name.
hmm,
You know, these billionaires we always talk about. They're
yeah,
Americans, or
yeah,
they're from other countries, but they end up in America. It just seems like America has this formula of producing crazy innovation and really push things forward. And what is it? How come you know, Turkey or uh, even the Netherlands doesn't have the same capacity?
that's that's a very good point. I would agree with your assumption, with your thesis. With that, I think America has this drive between like creativity and capitalism that kind of produces a lot of billionaires, where they encourage kind of like risking and taking chances. I don't think a lot of other places around the world really encourage people thinking outside of boxes. They're just kind of stay in your box and do what you have to do. I think China's starting to change a little bit when it comes to certain technologies, though. I mean, like for example in China, like you see them like duplicate what the world does but and like mass produce it but not really innovate things. But a lot of these new companies coming out of China, tech companies, phone companies, Alibaba, right, like as
Yeah,
well.
but here's the point on that, because there's the I'm going blank. Alibaba
Amazon,
CEO founder
Jack Ma.
Jack Ma. He's disappeared because he got too big. He started saying stuff against the Chinese government,
Yeah,
and that's what happens in some of these countries. Like in Russia, if you become too big of a billionaire, you threaten the power of
they don't like
Mr.
it.
P, and he doesn't like it,
Who's that? Who's
and
Mr. P?
he starts making some tea for you,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
and so that's probably, I guess America doesn't have a huge track record of like taking down billionaires. They're allowed to just like run riot and dig holes and stuff.
Well, I mean, so in America, for example, if we're talking about a Musk or a Bezos or a Gates, that was the environment that allowed them to create these products or these things. But the same system also promotes greed and capitalism on Wall Street, where it allows these bankers and these people to like manipulate markets or to work towards money. And is it the same system? Is it the same motivating
Yeah, I think
forces? You know,
it's just it's capitalism in overdrive, and people are incentivized by money. Of course, that's a big factor, but it's a very good place to start a
create,
business.
succeed, business. Yeah,
There is like at the end of the day, people do criticize the United States, and there are of course those very strong reasons for doing so. But like
yeah.
they do have a good legal system for the most part
Protects the
within the
individual. Yeah,
country.
yeah,
Like you can go bankrupt with your company, and people are like, that's okay.
yeah.
Start again,
Start
man.
again.
Try it again.
Yeah.
Whereas if you go bankrupt in some other countries, they'll just say, you suck. Go get a regular job.
Yeah, I
So
mean, I think it's a double-edged sword. I think there's positives and negatives of it. I mean, if you look at the numbers, like all the world's most of the world's billionaires are American based, right? Depending, and then within that, if you're like tech, you're probably out west. If you're finance, you're probably out east. There's a lot of freedoms and protections for you, and I think there's a lot of opportunity and talent that you can help and work with and do it. I mean, I I started and I think people's mentality is different too, right? Like there's more you can find like-minded people who think like you. For example, I'm sure Elon Musk for each of his 8 companies has people who have the same vision or the same way of thinking or can at least acknowledge and adapt with his thinking to adapt to it. But if you took Elon Musk and you put him into like Indonesia or Malaysia, could he have done the same thing?
that's the
Probably not.
thing, is that probably not. I mean, there's world-class education institutions, Stanford and Harvard and all the rest of it,
Yeah,
just pumping out smart people. And people go from all over the world to study there. Like,
yeah,
so there's the brain drain from Indonesia and Malaysia because their best and brightest get scholarships to go and study at Oxford or Ivy League schools. So that's a challenge, I guess, for some of these other countries to produce homegrown talent like that.
well, I mean, even if you look at Musk's background, South African born, Canadian educated, American, like he comes from a very diverse background as well. And maybe all that stuff really helped him to get to where he wants to go. So yeah, I mean, that's my thing. I think he's an interesting guy and his companies are interesting. And it's definitely something I'll watch and look out for. And I just thought it would be a timely topic. He's in the news a lot recently. So yeah.
Absolutely. He's a fascinating character. He's still a relatively young guy, so he
Yeah.
still has a few more companies to create, and it'll be interesting to follow his trajectory.
Yeah, and just as we end, interestingly enough, when I put his name into Google this morning, Google News, like the first article was that he's no longer the richest person in the world or something. I think he's dropped to number 3 or 4.
That's
But
because Bitcoin crashed today.
yeah,
But
so
what do you think about his, on that note, very quickly,
yeah,
his cryptocurrency maneuvers? Because you were following crypto for some time, and this is for sure something we can cover on another episode.
yeah. I mean,
episode.
I learned my crypto knowledge from you because you were explaining it to me because I got in the
Oh,
game
I'm sorry.
a little late. I have no crypto now, so don't worry. I had a little Bitcoin and Ethereum, but I sold them off. But I thought it was interesting that any of his tweets really just make things like
He was
made like
super influential.
yeah, and then eventually his company, I believe Tesla bought $1 billion worth of Bitcoin or something along those lines, right? Like
Yeah, and then
so
stopped. They said, I'm done with this."
I'm done with it. It's too risky of an investment for me. I'm traditional. I'm based, but I thought it was interesting that one man, one phone, one platform could just influence billions of dollars around the world, But I don't know. Like yeah, what do you think?
That's Yeah, there's a lot of people who are very much into cryptocurrency around me, especially in my business program.
Yeah.
And I haven't reached the stage of where I'm comfortable in debating or challenging them, but uh, I like my limbs to be attached where they are. I don't want to get attacked.
Yeah.
But it is a bit cultish. It has some cultish things, and I don't think any reasonable investment should have one person, unless they're the CEO of the company,
Yeah.
influencing the price of that thing. So why would Elon Musk's tweets cause such and such things to happen to a currency? That's kind of terrifying.
Yeah, I mean, I think some people see him as some sort of kind of new age, neo leader, business tech tycoon who knows everything about business, especially like a new age technology business. And so, like people, like I would, if you said, "Oh, who do you think about when you think of which tech leader do you think of? Do you think when you think of crypto?" I would associate with Elon Musk as well, just because
Yeah.
they just link together. But it's strange that he has that much power over things, and he can just go up and down. I mean, he should run his company how he feels fit, but also keep in mind that a lot of people are being influenced by him and are affected by him as well. Is a grave responsibility. I'm I'm like social media, Twitter, Instagram, all this stuff. I'm really just like I just watch it. I'm not on any of these platforms. I mean, except for Facebook, but Twitter to me just sounds strange because your opinion can just differ from morning to night and just affects so many people. So it's a weird world out there, the crypto world and the investment world. But I'm an observer. I'm just a witness, not a participant.
Well, have fun staying poor, as they say.
There we go. Thank you so much. No problem. When you're living up there, Dave, just think of us people down here. Huh? Bring us up with
Okay.
you.
Yeah.
Anyways,
All right. Thanks,
yeah.
Tosh.
Thanks, Dave. I hope you have a great rest of the evening. And you're staying safe.
Same to you. All the best to our listeners, and sayonara.
Sayonara. That was what I was gonna say. I was gonna say sayonara
Oh,
too. Brian.
all right.
All right, Dave.